Hey everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser, and I'm here today to welcome you to Enter the Poserverse. 2020, thank God, is almost over. But that means it's time for me to start breaking down my top picks of the year, and instead of doing one long video with one big list that will probably last an hour that nobody will want to watch unless I fall asleep during it, I figured what I would do for my first end of the year set of videos ever is name a top pick or top picks from each publisher that I'm pulling multiple books from in a given year. And not only am I recording these, but I will also release them in the order that is probably the easiest decisions that I had to make, up to the lists that I had to think the hardest about from start to finish for each publisher. And then at the end of all of this, I'll do a video where I will name overall my top pick of the year from each of these individual videos. To see what my pick of the year is from Dark Horse Comics, you'll have to find out after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Alright. Dark Horse to me was a publisher that I feel like had a really strong 2019, and then COVID happened, and it seems coming out of the post-COVID distribution, the number of Dark Horse titles just seemed to shrink more so than any other publisher, and I'm still not 100% sure as to why that happened. But in looking at the different books that I had pulled from the end of 2019 into the beginning of 2020 from Dark Horse, you had books like Count Crowley, Monster Hunter, which I really liked what David Desmalchian did with that series. You had the end of Christopher Cantwell and Crew's like anti-capitalist dystopian Everything, and I'm still hoping that Everything Arc 2 is real. You had Crone, which was like what happens when Red Sonja gets old. You had You Look Like Death, National Anthem, books that were just okay to me, even though I didn't read the preceding source material. You have anything else? You had Everything, you had Ether, The Disappearance of Violet Bell, which that book was intriguing. The art was really cool, but again, I didn't read the preceding series. So instead of ranking all of those other books for Dark Horse like I plan on doing with other publishers, this was hands down the easiest decision for me to make from any of the publishers. And you've heard me pick each of its issues as they were released in my weekly picks video. I think every single one of them made it in my top 5-ish picks of the week. So my Dark Horse book of the year is Spy Island. And you're like, why? There are only 4 issues. Why is he holding 5 covers? Because I got both both covers for issue 3. But I liked this book. I think Chelsea Kane is one hell of a storyteller. I wrote about Maneaters on my blog that I think Maneaters is a brilliant critique of, you know, the patriarchy, of toxic masculinity, of the way women are categorized in society. And I know that anytime Chelsea Kane's got a book that's coming out, I am more than likely to hop on. Lila Metternich art in this, there's just something that they do artistically that draws me in, from not just elements of traditional, you know, drawn, colored, you know, cartoony comic book art, but also the degrees of photorealism that happen with some of the images that are just worked into the story, that those kinds of things really make me laugh as well. So if you're not familiar with Spy Island, first, what the hell is wrong with you? But second, Spy Island is a 4-issue miniseries about events that go on in the Bermuda Triangle, that it's part spy thriller, it's part romance, it's part like cryptozoological horror with some mermaid attacks and sand fleas. There's a lot of really good dark humor in terms of some of the like flyers that show up in here, the advertisements for like sand fleas or the Cthulhu Festival, or all of the references to parts of the brain or human soul that are storage vats for a need for Chardonnay. That I think this was a really cool 4-issue series in terms of looking at basically two sisters coming back together to find out what happened to their father in terms of everything that goes down in the Bermuda Triangle. I like that the creative team took a setting like the Bermuda Triangle, which we hear, you know, passively referenced from time to time when there's some kind of disaster with ships or airplanes or things like that they just plumb disappear, and they're like, Bermuda Triangle snuck up out of the bushes again, and boom, right, things disappeared. So it's a perfect setting for a spy book, a weird horror book, just a bunch of inexplicable things happening in that area, because the phenomenon itself of the Bermuda Triangle to us is something that's wholly inexplicable. So if you haven't read this is one of the series that hands down I will recommend that anybody who's any kind of reader should give this one a shot. One, it's a low risk investment monetarily. First, it's a low risk investment monetarily because it's only 4 issues. Second, you should be able to find a trade, and I'm going to guess with only 4 issues this will be a $10 trade instead of a $20 trade, unless there's a bunch of dope back matter. Second, like I said, I think it's just a compelling kind of story that we hear spy stories, we hear, you know, monster or mythical being stories, but we don't get to see the two of them interwoven really at all in a successful way. And third, it's a setting that is something that I like seeing people play with, that I would like to see another interesting take on a Bermuda Triangle story, or another kind of weird phenomenon place that we use to kind of sweep things under the rug in a real world sense, that I want to see things that play its way out there. But again, Metronique's art is just fantastic. That I was a big fan of the use of that style of art in Maneaters, that everything that happens in here is very intentional. The marriage between the art and color in this is something that is also very, very engaging, and I really think enhances the type of story that is told in the book. So I don't have a fancy name for what I'm giving it, but congratulations to the creative team behind Spy Island, that I think, hands down, without a doubt, you have clearly written Dark Horse's best book of 2020, and I want more of it. I think there's another way that you could play out this arc. I think there are a lot of things that could happen in the Bermuda Triangle as a setting, even if it's a new cast of characters. So while this is a nice, neatly packaged 4-issue mini, I would love to see more in this universe, and I hope that it happens. And if it doesn't, then I'm content knowing that this existed, because this is going to be something that, if I want a good quick read and I want some interesting mixtures of different types or styles of art, I will pick up and just kind of thumb through the pages and sit in awe. So what do you think? Is there a Dark Horse book that came out this year that you liked better? Let me know down in the comments below. But throughout the next several days, you'll see my picks for Aftershock books, Image books, Boom books, Mad Cave, Scout, Vault, right? The number of publishers that I've read stuff from is huge. So I'll be naming my top lists for each of them. So as always, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.